So I've seen a lot of misinformation on the forums and on Facebook about how to do this awful trim removal. So today I'm going to take all that I've learned on the forums and tell you in a short video how to remove the roof edge molding on an E36 coupe. Now this is a pain in the ass because you can bend these super easily by trying to pry it or something, and a lot of people try to get in here with like a trim removal tool, trying to get into these gaps and pry it off because it's kind of like it sits in like a little groove. But I know the best method for taking these off. It's super easy, you don't bend it, and all you're gonna need to use a paint stir tool and a rubber mallet, and then that's it, and it comes off without any bending, without anything. So let's get into it. So before I start showing you how to actually take it off, I have an example of one that I've already taken off. So the reason a lot of people take these off in the first place is because a lot of the time, I mean, it's a 20-year-old car, the paint here starts chipping off, and BMW in their infinite wisdom decided to make these have a rubber backing and a metal front. So what happens is it can rust, it can chip, it can do whatever. So before I show you how to take these off, let me show you what they look like. This is the back of one of these, and it has a kind of like a rubber end in the groove where it's supposed to sit in. And the front, as you can see, is metal, but this one's been primered. So now that you know how it sits in these little grooves. I'm gonna take you to the other side of the car and show you what it looks like with it off. All right, now that we're on the other side of the car, let me show you what it looks like when you take it off. This is the metal strip that the roof edge molding sits on. And that rubber part goes underneath this and it just kind of pushes up. So the principle of how these are supposed to come off is that you're supposed to pull it down and out so that it comes out of the groove and then the whole edge comes out. Now, a lot of the people that try to do it try to start from the back over here, which makes sense because it sits under this rubber molding here. But the way I like to do it is I like to go from the front, because that way I can take it all out and then carefully when I'm in the back, not pry it out, but just lift it and turn it and then take it out of that groove. All right, so let's get into actually taking this off. Now, even though you can't bend it, this is still a really delicate process of how to do this right. So what you're gonna wanna do first is you're gonna wanna make sure that this window is open and that this rear window is popped out as much as it can be. So let's do that first. All right, now that rear window is popped out, front window is open, we're actually gonna start removing it. So I like to start going right here where this is. Now, you don't really wanna worry too much about the paint because if you're taking these off, then you're definitely gonna be painting these or replacing them, but you still wanna be careful. So I start right here, I kind of put it right at the edge and I give it a little bit of a tap. And as you saw, it probably started moving down a little bit. And what you wanna do is you wanna start going along this whole edge. So I'm gonna move this way a little bit, tap it a little bit, tap it, I'm gonna move over to the front. And as you start tapping, you're gonna see it release, because usually the parts that are here at the front and there at the back are really close. Like I haven't really hit it here, and see how you can't really get anything in there? Same principle. So once it starts to release a little bit, tap, tap. As you can see on the video, it's starting to come loose. Essentially, the principle is super easy. You go along the whole edge, slowly hitting it, and we're gonna keep doing that. See it starting to come off? After a whole rotation of actually going around and hitting it, you can see the gap that we started to create, meaning that it's starting to release from the actual trim. So you keep doing that. Come around. Just dropped it there. Okay. I like the progress that we've made here. And now, as we start to release, I like to finish it off from the front. Once you're at this point, you can see it starting to come off. And so you just kind of keep doing it. The most important principle of this entire trim removal is patience and care. Because you don't want to hit it too hard because you can bend this by hitting it at the edge. But you want to hit it hard enough that it starts to push it out from the edge. Now look at this. See how it's starting to come off? That means we're doing a good job. So once I start seeing it come off here in the middle, you don't want to get in there and pry or anything. You just want to keep going and lightly keep tapping. At one point, you're gonna have to kind of slide it out of this edge. Kind of wiggling it out a little bit. Being very careful not to bend it. There we go. That is the first part of this done. Once that first edge is out, this gets infinitely easier. Here, you just start going around the edge again. Sometimes you might want to move this out of the way a little bit. I'm still not exactly sure what the best placement of this rear window is throughout the install, but I just kind of mess with it as I go and it turns out okay. So here I'm just kind of very lightly pulling it with my hands out of the groove. All right, now we've got this much out. I'm gonna go back in with this and kind of hit this corner a little bit. Now I'm gonna pop the window out because I'm past that point. A few more taps should get it loose. Truthfully speaking, I'm not really sure what the best thing to do with this window is. It might be to keep it closed. I've only had 2 chances to do this now, but this is still the best method to go at it. Once you get that loose, you get to this edge part where you just kind of need to pull it out of this groove. Get it out. And there we go. That is the trim piece taken off. And just to prove how great of a method this is, no bends anywhere. Now, honestly, there still might be a little bit right here. It kind of bend a little bit just for the sake of transparency. But if you're careful and want to do this by yourself, these bend super easily back. You can just use your fingers. Move it back a little bit, get it back in the spot you need, and it should be all good. But for the most part, this is infinitely better than prying in there with a trim removal tool, and it gets it out right away. Now, if you're interested in further steps, what I did is I used a sander with 120 grit paper on it, sanded it down to metal. Make sure not to sand the back because that's where the rubber attaches. Once the back is sanded, clean it, you prime it, and you use SEM Trim Black, the matte version, not the high gloss one. And it ends up looking perfect. What you want to do from here, just clean this. Make sure there's no dirt in it. What I did is I cleaned it with some simple grain. Then I went in, buffed it a little bit with some polish, ceramic coated it to ensure that it was clean. And once I get that painted, I'm gonna reinstall it, and these are gonna look brand new. And you're not gonna have to do any of that stupid taping business that people do, taping off their car and trying to get it done that way. That's a mistake, and it will not look nearly as good as if you do it the right way with precision like this. So, thank you for watching. This is Finsky Garage. Hopefully I can bring you more E36 tips. I just didn't see one about this, and I thought this was a good video to include. Now, if I get some comments encouraging me to finish these, that would be cool, because these have been sitting here for a year and I still need to paint them. And these would look cool as hell on this, wouldn't they? I mean, come on. Style 42, 16-inch, like, the hell is this? We gotta get going. Anyway, thanks for watching. Like the video, share it if you want others to see it who have the same problem, and catch you guys in the next one.